Hey there, guys. Welcome to the channel. So, can we just take a moment and talk about Vivek Ramaswamy? The guy is absolutely putting on a masterclass on how to run a political campaign. And he's really, really nailing it pretty much every step of the way. Now, do I think he's going to outpace and outshine Donald Trump and snag the nomination? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Nobody knows, right? I can tell you this. 8 years ago, there's a very, very similar trajectory between the two guys, and anything is possible. But here's the deal. Vivek's performance is right on point, man. And it's refreshing to see a guy shake things up, shake up the usual political narrative. And what's really, really commendable about him, he's managed to rise without playing the usual cynical political games and taking jabs just for the sake of it, just for the soundbite. You know, so many out there, they're all gunning for Trump. And honestly, it really feels less like they're gunning for Trump and more like they're just a bunch of political opportunists, because that's basically what they are. But Vivek, he's carved his own path. And it looks good. It looks like it's really, really working in his favor. The guy is absolutely on fire. And it's moments like these that I'm going to show you that solidify that. Let me break it down for you just a little. So, you know, when someone tries to throw a curveball question or set up some baseless narrative, especially mainstream media type people, well, Vivek handles it with grace and confidence every single time. He knocks it out of the park. No fluff, no dodging, just straight up answers. He's not afraid of a question. He doesn't even look at them like curveballs or gotchas. He just treats them like questions, and he nails it. And that's what sets him apart, not just from the guys that he's running against, but from basically anyone I've ever really seen. And you got to see him absolutely embarrass Neil Cavuto. Just listen to the garbage that Neil tries to push here. But guys, before that, thanks to everyone that's been subscribing and staying engaged. Really, really appreciate this. We're building a really great community here, and it's going to be a lot of fun. If you haven't already, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. And let's get to it.
I can understand that, but there are 91 criminal charges in all, Vivek, as you're aware, over 4 criminal cases. They can't all be politicized, can they? I mean, there's something that the former president must have done in any one of these that struck you as wrong, if not illegal.
I think, Neil, just because the government has brought a case, if we're going to be a culture that now starts to say there must be something wrong, if the government has charged 91 counts, I think that's a people of sheep. And when the people behave like sheep, that breeds a government of wolves.
Well, you don't think there's
that's the reality. And so, no, I am skeptical.
Vivek, you don't think there's anything in this case that shows or even strongly hints of the former president trying to reverse that Georgia contest?
Neil, you know, I've had this conversation before. There's a difference between a bad judgment and an illegal act. And I view this indictment in the context of, as you put it, 3 other independent indictments. The first one beginning in New York for a novel election and campaign contribution theory, to one that has a novel theory of interpreting the Presidential Records Act, to a novel theory of attorney-client relationships. When you have a series of novel legal theories that are used to indict a prior U.S. president and a sitting candidate in the middle of an election, I just don't think that's good for the country. I'm in this to lead our nation forward, not to be a political commentator or legal analyst on a series of legal cases. But what I will say as a candidate in this race is that I do not think it is good for our country to set this precedent.
All right, so there's a lot to unpack there. You got these media bigwig types, you know, the elites. We'll call them basically neocon media ghouls, for lack of a better term. And they're just trying to push an agenda. That's all they're really about. And that's all they do. All they want to do is corner people, especially folks like Vivek. And they want to trick them into adopting these super wishy-washy, middle-of-the-road stances. But Vivek's not having any of it. You know, they're throwing around 91 charges. It's almost like Neil is saying, well, hey, if, 89 of these don't stick, maybe 1 or 2 will. And Neil's stance, it surprises me, man. The guy's a smart dude, and he's politically savvy. I can't believe he would say something so insane. It's like he's suggesting, so they slap Trump with 91 counts, maybe 1 or 2 of them are valid, right? Don't you think at least one of them's valid? But that's not how it works. That's not how it should work. If a huge chunk of the allegations are bogus, then shouldn't that throw the entire thing into question? That's how it should actually work. That's how it needs to work. What's even more frustrating is seeing some conservatives who once literally had our trust, taking this lukewarm, weak approach. Take DeSantis, for example. I mean, the guy was a rising star and for the longest time, but when it comes to addressing the Trump indictments, he just sounds like any other fence-sitting, wishy-washy politician. And it's really, really disappointing, if I'm being honest. At this time last year, I was all in on DeSantis. I was over Trump, and Ron was the dude. No baggage, same great policy, let's go. But dude, if you're going to be a conservative leader, you got to have guts. You got to stand firm. You don't do bad gymnastics based on political wins.
So I haven't had a chance to read it all, but I will tell you is Atlanta has huge problems with crime right now. And there has been an approach to crime which has been less than exacting. I think there have been criminals that have let out that shouldn't have been let out. And so they're now doing an inordinate amount of resources to try to shoehorn this contest over the 2020 election into a RICO statute, which was really designed to be able to go after organized crime, not necessarily to go after political activity. And so I think it's an example of this criminalization of politics. I don't think that this is something that's good for the country. But I think a lot of Republican voters are looking at some of the things that have happened, whether it's the Department of Justice, whether it is some of the things that have happened local. And I think the question is, okay, what are we going to do about it? And I've already said, as president, we are going to end the weaponization of federal agencies like the DOJ and FBI. We'll have a new director. We will have new leadership in the DOJ. We're going to make sure that there's a single standard of justice in this country. Now, in terms of some of these local DAs, in Florida, we've actually suspended two, one in Tampa, one in Orlando.
Man, dude, DeSantis has this whole approach where he's avoiding literally actually mentioning Trump's name. I mean, he claims he hasn't read the indictment, and then he kind of shifts the focus onto himself, going on and on about serious crimes and DAs with political motives. To just anyone who listens, it's just like, it sounds like he's skirting the issue. He comes off completely freaking fake. Contrast that with Vivek. The guy straight up, he says he's going to pardon Trump, regardless of political rivalry. He's got a clear stance. He's got clarity. And in today's political climate, especially among conservatives, that's what people want. That's what people need. That's what I need. Let me know in the comments if you feel the same way or if you think I'm nuts. But no more beating around the bush and playing it safe. Authenticity is key. And Vivek seems to be cashing in on that, if the way it looks to me. I mean, just look at the numbers. Data from the RMG research shows notable shift in the primary. Vivek is up by 10 points and is now ahead of Ron DeSantis. I get it, man. Skepticism is a healthy thing, especially when it comes to politics. Politicians might campaign one way and then pull a literal switcheroo once they're in office. I know that. I'm not here to crown Vivek as the next big thing, but you got to give the dude props where they're due. I mean, he's running a tight ship. He knows his audience, and he's nailing these media appearances, every single one. From the Don Lemon incident that basically got Don fired to the Breakfast Club. The dude is scoring major points, and he's embarrassing anyone who tries to test him, which I absolutely love to see. And I can't believe they're not watching each other. Do they think that they're so much smarter than the last guy and they're going to finally get this dude? I don't know. Maybe it's Vivek's time to shine. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about that. I don't know. But if he's setting the tone for a more straightforward and honest approach to politics, I'm all for that. That's something to celebrate. So in a nutshell, I got to say I'm impressed. And I really, really like the guy. The guy's a breath of fresh air in a political scene that's basically stale, Anyway, that's just my take, guys. Let me know your take in the comments. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe. Most importantly, share the Common Sense Garage. We'll see you in the next one.